At this time, it's my honor and privilege to introduce one of my closest friends and a true servant leader to our organization, our National Chief of the Order of the Arrow, Johathan Hillis.
So my first OA event that I went to after my ordeal was an ordeal a year later, where I was going to go through Brotherhood. And I showed up to the event. I hadn't been active in the OA at all, and the only reason I was going was because someone in my troop told me that I needed to go get the Brotherhood. So I went into my ceremony not knowing what to expect, and came out of it with my life changed. The guy who was playing Alawat in my Brotherhood ceremony left a huge impact on me. And at the end of the ceremony, I walked up to the guy with the big headdress and said, "You look like you're in charge, and how can I do what you're doing? How can I get involved?" And he told me about ceremonies in the lodge and how to get involved, and that is when I became a ceremonialist. So I spent the next year building my costume and working on my lines, putting together a ceremony team, and I showed up at an ordeal this is now 2 years removed from my induction, a year after this Brotherhood ceremony I went through, and I was going to be a Brotherhood Alawat. So I had my lines down pretty well, but I was still a little bit shaky on them, and I was ready for the ceremony. There were two problems. That we showed up at the ring, and first of all, there was a burn ban, so the camp ranger had agreed to let us have a small smudge pot and then put some logs around it so it looked like a fire. And then the other problem was the string that we used to hang sashes on wasn't there. So the guy who had played Alawat in my Brotherhood ceremony, who'd become my mentor over this past year, said, "No problem, he built a little fire ring for me, and he put up a big tree branch, leaning on the ground on one side and up against the tree on the other side, and just hung all the sashes from that. So this would be perfect." So I was really nervous, and get up there, start the ceremony, and I'm feeling great about everything except the Brotherhood obligation. I just didn't have it down very well. About 2 minutes into the ceremony, hear this big crash behind me. And I turn around, and all those brand new white sashes were sitting in the mud. All the candidates were just looking around like, "Was that supposed to happen?" And so my advisor stands up, runs back, grabs the stick, and throws it back up. The sashes are mostly clean. And I continue on with the ceremony. And about 2 minutes later, all of a sudden, one of the logs falls over onto the smudge pot and lights on fire. Now, the really bad part was when that log lit on fire and then started lighting all of the other logs on fire, and suddenly we had a giant bonfire in the middle of this ceremony ring. I was clearly a problem because we were in the middle of a burn ban. So my advisor now grabs a giant bucket of water. Luckily we were scouts, so we were prepared, and goes into the ceremony ring while it's still going on and is dumping water all over this giant bonfire. And I'm really starting to get worried because my first ceremony is not going well. Then we get to the Brotherhood obligation. Now, I put my sign up, and right as I get the sign in the air, boom! It goes down again, all the sashes in the mud. Things are not going well. My advisor runs back over, picks it back up. I stumble through the entire Brotherhood obligation and botch my entire first ceremony. The candidates leave, and my advisor walks up to me. I'm expecting him to just start yelling, telling me I've ruined the whole thing, and he walks up and says, "Well, looks like you have a little bit of work to do before the next ordeal weekend." So I think there are two things here there are two reasons that ceremonies have been such a crucial part of my time in the Order. They're why I stuck with the OA in the first place, and they're why I ultimately became a leader in the organization. I never would have stuck around to see what the Order was all about had it not been for that first Alawat in my first Brotherhood ceremony. That's the thing about our ceremonies and our American Indian activities. They're one of the best membership retention tools that we have. They're how we get kids in, and they're how we keep them excited. That's why I'm here today. When Scouts think about the order, they think about our dancers, our drummers, our ceremonialists. They're thinking about all of you. Cub Scouts see our powwows, our drum teams at summer camp, our Arrow of Light ceremonies. Ordeal candidates learn what the order is all about from you guys, our ceremonialists. And as my own story showed, if we portray our ceremonies perfectly, guys like me will stick around and get involved. The second thing I learned from my days as a ceremonialist is that doing that job has prepared me for the job I'm doing now. Both the content of the ceremonies and the process of doing them contributed to my leadership development. The symbolism of our ceremonies gets at the core of what our organization is about. And when portrayed powerfully, there's no better way for us to pass on the legacy of what the Wamaktadig, Wingalausik, and Witahimaway stand for than through our ceremonies. These ceremonies contain more than just words. They are actions to live by. I've learned more about servant leadership from careful readings of our ceremonies than from any other source. Even the lessons learned from just being part of a ceremony, dance, or drum team are substantial opportunities for leadership development. That first ceremony I performed taught me to address missteps head on by trying again and trying harder. The point of everything I'm saying is this: your work this week has a noble purpose. What you have learned has the potential to teach and inspire our next generation of leaders. But notice, I said the potential to inspire. You have to put in the effort to make that happen. The customs and traditions that have been passed down to you this week come from generations of knowledgeable airmen. Now, it's your turn. Those who chose you need you. Go home and pass on these time-honored traditions to your brothers. You are the servant leaders of your lodge. Serve your lodge by showing the example of quality, inductions, ceremonies, and American Indian activities, and you will be inspiring the next generation of our order's leaders. Thank you.